This is truly reprehensible on the part of the Prime Minister and Labor. Reprehensible what they've done. He won't even say sorry. Anthony Albanese has failed in this moment and failed from the start. And so now, while under immense pressure, he announces a raft of changes to try and put an end to it, including adopting the recommendations by his special envoy, Gillian Segal, the same recommendations that have sat there for 6 months. The changes include making it a new offence for preachers' hate speech, increased penalties for hate speech, making hate a sentencing aggravated factor, a regime to list groups promoting hatred, and an offence for advocating racial supremacy. The Home Affairs Minister will also have special powers to reject or cancel visas for anyone spreading anti-Jewish hate. I mean, is Tony Burke seriously going to kick people out of this country when he's welcomed in 3,000 Gazans with little to no security checks and even gave some a private meet and greet at Sydney Airport and also let in the ISIS brides? Really? And with that came more excuses by the Prime Minister.
People grieving right now might reasonably ask why these changes to the thresholds around these laws have taken so long, and do you take some responsibility for that delay?
We are the first government to legislate on hate speech. We did that.
So why have you not acted on it yet? If the laws are already in place, why aren't radical preachers of hate being arrested? Now, this is early days when it comes to these changes, but there are too many questions and answers. What is the new criminal threshold for hate speech? What makes a person go over that line? The Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke couldn't say.
We have all seen vision of hate preachers where we are shocked that that is happening in Australia. It is not representative of what people expect in Australia, and it's certainly not representative of the Muslim community in Australia either. There have been repeated checks as to whether they have crossed legal thresholds. They haven't. The thresholds are changing.
Well, my question is, will these laws actually stop the hate associated with radical Islam? Or will it be used as blasphemy by stealth? And we go down the path of the UK where people are being arrested for saying things the government doesn't like. There has to be a very clear distinction. Now, I'm all for change when freedom of speech crosses into hate speech and violence. And we've certainly seen that day in, day out in Australia when death to the IDF was chanted, globalise the intifada, being elated and saying October 7 is a day of courage, the hate being spewed from radical preachers in mosques around the country, that it definitely encourages violence. But there needs to be a distinction made by Labor, and it's an important one. But there's still no time frame for legislation. Parliament hasn't been recalled, so when? If Bondi really means anything, the time for talk is over. But the Prime Minister missed something big in his press conference today. Radical Islam was not mentioned once. Not once. As Johannes Leek summed it up very well in The Australian today with his cartoon, it's the elephant in the room for Anthony Albanese as he holds his wet lettuce. Radical Islam poses the biggest threat to a Western democracy. Yet Labor has imported hate under the guise of healthy and sustainable multiculturalism, despite the Prime Minister trying to gaslight us into thinking otherwise.
When you come to Australia, you are here to support our society, of which is diverse, but that diversity is a strength.
Read the room. The past 2 years would suggest otherwise. Diversity is not our strength. It's our biggest weakness right now. It has failed. Even the AFP Commissioner, after having told us earlier in the week that the Bondi massacre was not motivated by religion, she ducked and weaved today when asked again.
This was about extremism. This was ISIS-inspired. We know ISIS distorts and corrupts Islam, which leads to radicalisation. The point I was making is that these two, we know, were inspired by ISIS.
Call it out for what it is. Radical Islam. We've imported people into this country, some who hate us, some who hate our values, and some who have no interest in assimilating. Why? Because their values are incompatible with ours. And the common denominator is radical Islam. It's a religious-driven ideology that has no place in Australia. So the Prime Minister can talk and talk about changes to laws, but unless he does something about it, unless he says it out loud, those laws may as well be rendered useless already.